congratulations on your first speech.
Thank you.
And the big news, of course, is the upcoming housing summit.
Yes, I know there's been anticipation in the community for this, and we don't set these up overnight. It takes time to get officials together and to get a plan of action together, and that's coming together quite nicely. So the week of May 13th, we will have our summit in Regina.
How many people have you invited, and I guess from all levels of government and citizen groups as well?
Invitations are not out yet. We have our planning group together, and we're getting ready with the agenda to go forward. So in the coming days, we'll have invitations go out.
Can you tell us more about the Granny Suite pilot project?
Well, this has already been done, but we don't have is a proper zoning for it. So this summer, we're going to have a pilot project in the east end of the city. I believe in the Greens on Gardner will be the location for that. And we'll just see how it works. The building community wants this as well. You know, the province has this as part of the program. So we're just going to piggyback and make sure that we have the proper zoning to make sure it's done.
So what exactly is it? People will be getting breaks if they're going to be building the Granny Suite or converting?
They'll likely get some form of incentive to build them, yes.
How will that be coordinated with the province's current secondary suite pilot?
Well, we may not necessarily put, again, we're getting way ahead of ourselves here right now, but for the moment it'll likely be that we will allow for planning and our zoning to allow this to take place. You can't do it right now. So this is a way to facilitate that. We may have some incentives ourselves, but we want to talk to the province about what that would look like.
Is it kind of disingenuous to say it can't be done? Because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people
No, it can be done. I'm just saying that in terms of proper planning, you want to have the zoning to allow it to take place so it's done properly, that's all. Certainly is being done, no question. It's not illegal to do it, so I won't leave that impression. But we want to make sure it is part of the tools in the toolbox for more affordable housing.
How many suites you're hoping for?
It's early to say it.
Given the legislative responsibility between the...
I have two questions going, Kent.
Sorry. Mr. Mayor, given the legislative responsibility that the federal and provincial governments have for housing, what do you realistically hope will come out of the summit in May?
Well, I think it's an understanding of the particular circumstances in Regina. We have one of the fastest growing economies in the country. We have a very low unemployment rate. We're growing quickly, but we have a 1% vacancy rate. Saskatoon, which is probably growing faster, has a higher vacancy rate. So there's some particular circumstances that are happening in Regina that I think we need to figure out. But I also think we need to engage the federal government in housing more and ensure that our programs match provincial so we can maximize effectiveness in delivering programs.
What can be done about the vacancy?
And we also want to have, if I just may say, that we want to look at some innovation as well within the industry. There's some best practices on affordable housing, and I think we need to have a wider discussion of people from around the country, around the province that have some ideas as well.
But this is a housing summit, not an affordable housing summit.
No, it is about affordable housing. The market will take care of housing itself, and I don't think our council is interested in giving any incentives for market housing. We're looking at social housing, affordable housing, below market housing, the spectrum of housing below what the market can handle itself.
Now, the situation in Regina isn't, it's a little bit unique to Saskatchewan, Alberta, Western Canada. How much do you think federal partners will be able to relate to Regina's problems?
Well, we're going to engage them in the discussion and see where we go from there. I mean, it's not about blaming anybody for not getting programs at work. It's about trying to find solutions. So we engage the federal government, ask them to come forward and have a discussion of how we can work together.
You, keeping that in mind, that it's not about assigning blame, you did stress in your speech that this council will act. Is that not a bit of a condemnation of previous councils?
Oh no, it just means that for quite some time our council has been saying this is a responsibility of senior governments, and we're not really we don't want to go too far down this road because we're concerned about our level of funding and our ability to pay for this. But because this is such a significant issue, this new council, I myself, want to see this go forward. We don't have all the answers. We don't have all the solutions for the city to be doing this because we only collect 8 cents out of every dollar of taxes to do lots of things. So we need to work together.
So what, in your mind, is the tipping point then? Because last council had a lower vacancy rate, condo conversions. Yeah. Why is it time to act now?
Well, I think the public is saying it's the number one issue. It wasn't that way 5 years ago. Now it is very much what I see in terms of public surveys. Housing very much is top of mind for everyone, and we need to act. That's the responsible thing to do. We can't ignore that and hope it goes away or have some other government deal with it themselves. We want to be a leader to help shape the solutions.
You mentioned your arm of Sherwood. I know that there has been some differences of opinion between the city and the RM, a bit here and there. You're hoping to build bridges instead of knock them down?
Well, we've always wanted to build bridges. I mean, we need to understand the nature of the concerns that are there. I'm not going to go into a lot of details because our officials are talking, but I will say that this council is committed to work to find solutions, but a respectful solution that respects our jurisdiction and their jurisdiction to develop, but ours to expand and grow because our population is growing so much.
Is there any contentious issues that are outstanding that you can talk about?
I would say the planning issues are the biggest ones. They would be the ones that hit the radar screen first. They are the ones about which we are most concerned because some developments are close to our city borders, and we need to understand the nature and scope of what that means for our services, what we provide for services as well.
Just going back to housing for just 1 sec. So the representatives from Ottawa and the province are on board with this as of now?
Well, we're determining who else from Ottawa will be there, but certainly CMHC will be there. We've made contact with ministers in Ottawa. The province is committed to be there. They're on a working group right now. So we're still formulating the group, but we need to act quickly. So that's the date for the week of the 13th of May.
So the feds, though, haven't said yes, we'll be there just yet?
Oh, they'll be there, yes.
I'm still a little confused when
But
you
have they
say
said they'll be?
about leadership. Is it the Regina City Council, taking the bull by the horns and saying this is what we need from the feds, or are you looking for the other governments to give the City Council ideas? Who is in charge here?
Well, I think, this is a Regina Summit. This is our perspective of working with and having a discussion with senior governments, those in the community, residents, builders, Home Builders Association, to talk about what is the particular circumstance in Regina that's causing this very low vacancy rate. What can we do as a community to do this? What are the best practices that can be used to lessen this problem? Are our programs effective? Are we funding the right kind of programs? Granite suites are one example of what could be working. What else can we do as a municipality? What can the federal government do? They are becoming disengaged in housing. Some of the programs, like infrastructure, are ending soon. So we want to make sure they're at the table. We're not going to tell them what to do. We're going to say these are things that we could look at. Can you help us? Can we work together?
Yeah.
So it's not about signing. Well, it's not about signing blame. I want to be clear that one, because no one wants to go to the table and say, well, why'd you drag me here? Because I don't want to be here. It's about asking them to the table for a dialogue to move forward.
What are some of those solutions that the city will float?
Well, I'm not going to prejudge that because this is really about people coming with solutions as well. We have our programs, and we provide $10,000 a door for incentives. We have abatements that we use. Those are what we are major tax tools that we use. We have zoning that we can change. We can change our planning, and our official community plan is being used to affect some of those changes. But that is not the answer to everything. The federal government has its own traditional role in housing. We're asking them to come to the table to talk about that. The province has this new program, really on the supply side of housing. And that's the focus of what they want to do. And we just want to talk about, is that the right focus? And if it is, that's good, but let's make sure we build our community and have housing available.
Will there be representation?
Strategy?
Pardon me?
You think there should be a national housing strategy?
Oh yeah, I mean, this isn't necessarily the focus of this summit, but yes, I think we need a national housing strategy. I'm on the Big City Mayors Caucus of FCM, and this very much is on the radar screen for a national housing policy, same as we have for infrastructure. These are foundational issues for growth of our communities, so yes, ultimately a national housing strategy.
Will there be representation from other municipalities like Saskatoon?
At this one?
Yes.
No, not initially. This is a Regina Summit.
Given the sheer level of delegations we've seen come before council, talking about housing from members of the community, why announce the summit and then send out invitations after? Why not give them a heads up? I talked to the Queensland Tenants Association last week, and they haven't talked to you guys.
That's true, but it's all about putting it together. In fairness, there is significant pressure, I feel, the council does to act on this. So what we're doing now is planning the agenda and who we're going to have. And it works out fine. We'll invite them, they'll be there, and we can have a discussion.
Will it be open to the public? And meeting?
Well, the media's always invited. You know that.
You don't have to invite us.
I don't. I'll invite you anyway.
Something will actually
We'll have the
come out of
details. The details of who's going to be there and how you get in the room will be made public very shortly. We're just in the middle of putting that together. I wanted to send a signal today. This council remains absolutely driven to work in housing as a priority. And I think the longer we wait, the more people say, well, what are you doing? And that's a legitimate question. So we want to make sure that people understand we're acting as fast as we can.
What are you expecting to come out of it? I mean, solutions is a pretty vague term. What kind
I'm
of
expecting to
things
see a higher vacancy rate. I'm expecting to see solutions. I'm not going to dictate what those are, But I want to see solutions. I want to see everyone work together in a cooperative sense and say we can do this together and fix the problem.
You referenced low-cost housing, low-rental housing, affordable housing. Is that obviously, without going into it and sitting down and talking about it, you can't really get into any details. But is this the stress? This is what the city needs right now: is more affordable, more rentally affordable housing.
There's a spectrum of housing that we generally talk about. It's all the way from homelessness up to market housing. So this council is not interested in targeting regular housing, in fact, market housing, because the market has that. People come in the city, they buy their homes, and that's fine. It's when the market breaks down and there is no housing, be it rental housing, be it affordable housing. Now, we won't deal with homelessness. That really is a social issue beyond our mandate as a city. But we have some things to say about that. So that's the discussion. And I don't want to prejudge the conclusion. This is part of why this is good. The same as the infrastructure summit we had the last 2 years. There was no preordained outcome of what you actually wanted to see. But we wanted to see best practices, understand the issues and how we can find solutions to the infrastructure deficit. Same thing here. We just want to have an open discussion without preconceived notions of what the end result will look like.
Historically speaking, the reason why there hasn't been much affordable housing in a lot of places is because it's not terribly profitable for private corporations. Are you going to be looking for public money at this conference?
Well, public money in the sense you mean of the federal government?
From the federal and provincial government, yeah.
Well, again, we're going to look at the programs, talk about their programs, what the funding would look like, and whether they can enhance them, change them, make them better. Simple as that. Again, I don't want to prejudge it, other than to say we want to have an intelligent, high-level discussion of how we fix the problem. Because in Regina, it's more acute than most other communities in Canada. And we're the fastest growing economy in the city, one of the fastest. So we have a problem. So let's talk about solutions.
Conference Board of Canada came out today with their economic forecast, and you mentioned that in your speech. Yep. Good news.
Oh, it is. But with opportunities comes challenges, and this is the challenge I'm speaking of. This is good news for us because you're hearing across the spectrum